What's up, gamers? My name's Justin. From January 6th to February 6th, I decided to quit social media. I was inspired by the likes of Matt Diavella and Wheezy Waiter to try this challenge, and my reasons for doing so are not totally dissimilar to people who have done this challenge before me. So let's jump right in and see how I was doing on January 5th before it all went down. So it is 11:52 p.m. on January 5th, 2020, and in 8 minutes, I will be quitting social media for 1 month. So what I'm going to be doing over the next month is I'm going to be deleting Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook completely off of my phone, and I'm also going to be blocking them on my computer. And the reason that I'm not blocking YouTube is because I purely use it as entertainment, and I'm still not sure if I'm gonna delete Reddit yet. I purely use it just so I'm updated with world events, but that is going to hinge on if I can find a place near me that sells newspapers or not. Now, why am I doing this? I don't know. I do know. I think I get a lot of validation from social media, and I don't think it's entirely healthy validation. I thought this would be a good time to do this because I've kind of felt the weight of a lot of bad habits barreling down on me recently. And I feel like a couple of those bad habits stem from the instant gratification of social media and just generally relying on social media to be the thing that I'm always doing when I'm not doing something. Alright, so we've got some solid reasons / goals here. One is just that social media in general is super unhealthy. And I felt like social media was one of the primary sources of the good brain chemicals. And that's not what you want, because the validation and the gratification that you get from social media in general can be hollow and not super healthy. So number one is essentially just that social media is unhealthy, and let's see if we can find other ways to get those good brain chemicals. Number two, I felt like it was time to make room for new habits to grow, new good habits, and I felt like I could do that by replacing the bad habit of social media with a good habit. Number three, I wanted to learn how to be more present with other people in my life and with myself, and just generally be more comfortable with and in that presence. So the clock struck midnight. There it is. I deleted all of the apps on my phone that I considered to be social media or social media adjacent, and used an add-on to block those sites from my computer as well. And those are done for the month. So here we go. Hey, so it is 12:15 p.m. on day one, and I gotta say, so far so good. I mean, sure, I've only really been up for 3 hours, and 3 hours is really nothing to blink at, but I think that progress is progress, so I'm gonna pat myself on the back for doing all right, for doing just fine. Real quick, I'm gonna interject here for a second. Something that I ended up doing between filming on the night of January 5th and the morning of January 6th was I did end up deleting Reddit. I know last night I said that I wasn't sure if I was going to because I thought about that's where I get my news from, so I didn't really want to totally not be aware of what's going on. But I decided that I don't want to be tempted to go into other subreddits and start using it as a social media network, because I was worried, with social media being addictive, if I didn't have access to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, I was worried about using Reddit as a crutch and ending up, even though I don't now use it as a social media, I didn't want to start doing that, so I deleted that as well. I also realized that I'd never clarified why I said that I was either gonna do Reddit or newspapers. I'm sure a lot of you were probably thinking why don't you just use news websites if you're not totally axing the internet and you're just axing social media? And the problem with that is I feel like I would be tempted to use Twitter through news websites because they either link to quotes or a lot of the journalists will pull things from Twitter, and it's just I don't want to be tempted. So I figured going analog is going to be the best thing for me. So this morning I was definitely tempted to use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. I found myself the first thing I did when I woke up is I grabbed my phone and I was oh, and then I was oh. Immediately my brain was you need that rush of good chemicals go into your brain. And depriving myself of those good chemicals first thing in the morning was like a little strange. So I thought of other ways that I typically get good chemicals in my brain, and I decided to go for a walk. And then this is where I ran into the second thing. My first instinct when I woke up was to get that rush of chemicals in my brain, and my first instinct when I was out and about was to find things to either take pictures of or share on social media. Like, there were 6 dogs all coming at me at one time today, and I didn't share that anywhere. What a disgrace. So I think what I'm learning, and something that I'm going to continue to learn over this process, which I'm actually pretty excited to do, is learn to keep moments to myself and work on things that are mine. Just experiencing things and feeling like not everything that I do or say or see or whatever has to be this. Doesn't have to be content. So, and my next step today is I'm gonna try and find newspapers. So let's give this a shot. Hey, so it is 10:31 p.m. on Thursday, January 9th. It is the end of day 4 of no social media. And I've realized a couple things about this process and about myself. So the first thing I realized is how much I don't miss it at all. Like, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and watching a lot of videos about other people who have quit social media as like a way to like do self-help and self-wellness. And what I've gathered is that a lot of people say that it's the habit of always having social media there and always constantly checking your phone or your computer or whatever that is more the tough thing to break than the actual like influx of likes or the dopamine or whatever. And I found that to be remarkably true for me as well. Like, the constant habit of like, okay, my brain is blank, so let me check my phone is still there. I don't think that's gonna go away. But the good thing is that now I have other things that replace social media for me. Like, one thing that I just really generally enjoy doing is crossword puzzles. So I have a crossword puzzle app on my phone that I use a lot. So now, instead of checking a feed, I will go on there, and if I feel the need to be in here for a minute, I'll like do a couple answers in the crossword and then I'll bounce. Another thing that I've realized about myself, which I kind of already knew, is that I like to make a project out of everything that I do. I mean, like Exhibit A, but because a lot of my projects are typically either social media based or shared on social media, I found that I have become the project. I've been taking more walks, I've been trying to be more present, I have started counting calories, I have downloaded an app to start mindful meditation, and right before I started filming this video, I went to the gym. So I'm gonna wrap this day up with some mindful meditation and then go to sleep. And so I did. Okay, so to recap, things were going really, really well for me at this point. As you can see, way better than I had anticipated. I was going to the gym, I was counting calories, I was doing meditation, and all of this was possible because I was doing step 3, which was to be more present. I felt like I could pay more attention to myself and what I was doing, and there was a certain level of motivation from quitting social media that backed my play here. I realized that it was true that axing bad habits can make room for good habits, which was goal number 2. So let's see how I was doing at the end of the first week. Hey gang. In about an hour, roughly, I will have finished week 1. So I figured I'd do a little bit of a mini review. So this morning, got the paper, and read it. Spent $4. So I think I'm gonna have to find a different way to get my news because God, that's just dry. It does supply me with crosswords though, so, you know, can't complain. So here at the end of week 1, I feel good, you know? I think generally my mental state is the best that it's been in a really long time, and I don't know if that's just because of the social media stuff, but I'm willing to bet that that's a part of it. I'm not sure that human beings were meant to be like constantly flooded with information all the time, because it's constantly like you're getting a new emotion every fucking millisecond, because you're gonna have a reaction to everything that everyone posts, like whether it's voluntary or not. And if you're getting like thousands of those just scrolling, like, I don't know, can that be good for the brain? I feel like that's It's gotta cause some anxiety, right? So for me, it's been very calming to be away from that. That's one of the biggest takeaways from all of this, I think, is just that generally speaking, my brain is quieter when I'm not constantly checking social media. There's just less anxiety and less compulsion to like check things and be updated on everything all the time. And I just felt more relaxed. Anyway, this was the end of week 1. That's exciting. So let's get a little bit of a progress update. So my goals with quitting social media were to get better at monotasking, like just being able to focus on one thing at a time, because my brain wanders often, and getting distracted is something that is not difficult for me. Not getting too wrapped up in what's going on with other people, and focusing more on just the people that are in my life, because like I care about what Shane Dawson and Stephen Colbert and I don't know, Tig Notaro are up to, but you know what? I don't think I need to know every second of their lives either. I don't think Tig Notaro is on social media. I don't know if Stephen Colbert is either. I chose weird people. But point being, I follow hundreds of people on social media. I don't know if I need to know what they're up to. So kind of tying with that, my last goal is to just try and be more present, both with like people in my life and with myself and in my space, and doing that. Which is why, as I said, the project became me. But you know, I've been going to the gym consistently. I've been counting my calories every day, and I'm on day 4 of meditation. If you're curious, I realized I don't think I said this. My the app that I'm using is Headspace. I can tell you that like what I've been doing so far has been very helpful for keeping me present, and also, you know, showing me how I can be focused on one thing, and if I want to shut out the world to focus on something, the rest of the world isn't going anywhere. If you had told me a week ago that in a few days I was gonna start meditating, I would have, I don't know, just like told you to stop telling me what to do. Or, you know, we would partner up and, you know, start a future telling podcast. I don't know. Essentially, I wouldn't believe you. But I realized there are different kinds of meditation. I'm currently doing guided meditation on Headspace, and all in all, it is just helpful. So, you know, at the end of week 1, I look back and I have to attribute a lot of this self-help, self-wellness progress to quitting social media. I don't think that if I had taken such a big change in my habits that I would have made other big changes as well. So now I'm thinking about in what capacity I'm going to reintroduce social media into my life after this 30 days. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Who knows? I do, but we're not there yet. So I will talk about in what capacity I decided to bring social media back into my life at the end of the video. Stay tuned. For now, let's keep going. Hi. So, it's February 5th. My hair is a little longer. And that's the only thing that's different. Today is the last day of the challenge, and I didn't record the rest of it. Why? Because it wasn't very interesting. It's tough to film a challenge where you're not doing something. Like, it's not like I was posting videos every single day of me using social media and then all of a sudden I was no longer doing that. Like, there was no change to show you. So yeah, but tomorrow is the first day in which I can go back on social media, and I don't really know how I feel about that. I think I've just gotten used to not being on social media, but I've actually noticed an interesting development. Before going into this challenge, I thought that it was going to be really hard in the beginning, and then as I went through it, it would get easier. But the opposite has happened. Now I'm getting those like little feelings of withdrawal of like, okay, let's go, come on, let's speed up the rest of this challenge so that I can get back on Instagram and Twitter and whatever. But now that I sit here before you on February 5th, 2020, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think, and future Justin, please correct me if I'm wrong. You were wrong. I think I'm gonna keep Twitter off my phone. Twitter was the main thing that was keeping me from being productive all the time. So I think I'm gonna keep Twitter as not something that's just easy access, just in my pocket. And it is in your pocket. My main goal with this was to be more present with myself, and I think I've done that. You know, it's really, really easy to get wrapped up in like the general chaos of the world. But there's ways to balance it without going as extreme as I was planning on going throughout the first week of this. You know, you don't have to like rely on newspapers to get your news. I ended up just going on news sites, even though I said that it was going to be tempting, because a lot of news sites linked to Twitter ended up not being tempting at all. So I just used news sites. Limiting your time on social media is a good thing. I've really enjoyed it not being something that I rely on as part of my routine for when I wake up or when I go to sleep. It's made both of those things a little bit easier for me. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not on my phone, it just means I'm doing other things. So maybe that's still not great, but something tells me that at night when I'm doing crossword puzzles on my phone instead of, you know, scrolling for 3 hours on Twitter, something tells me that's a little healthier, I hope. I don't know. So I have no idea when this video is gonna go up or when I'm even gonna be able to film my final thoughts and edit that all together. You do. So that's good for you. Anyway, that's all I have to say, so future Justin, take it away. Okay, so now that we're...
Well, hold on, before we do final thoughts.
Okay.
It's the next morning. Hello. It is officially February 6th, and today is the first day that I can go back on social media. Wowza. Okay, so I'm gonna hop into the App Store. I'll get Twitter first, I guess. I don't use Facebook, so I'm not gonna re-download Facebook. I know I said I wasn't gonna put Twitter back on my phone, but this is literally just for this, just so that you guys can see my first experience back on social media, and then I'll delete it after.
You were wrong.
While that's downloading, I will also reacquire Instagram. TikTok, yuck. Nice try, Zoomers. Or I guess boomers marketing to Zoomers. I look so tired. It's because I am. Alright, so as you can see, I now have both Twitter and Instagram back on my phone, and it feels weird. Alright, let's check out Twitter first. I can't imagine they've changed too much in a month, but you know, you never know. What the fuck is my password? This was unforeseen. Maybe this one? What is my password to Twitter? Oh, okay, cool. I just don't need to know it as long as Apple has my face. Precise location, go for it, man. Okay, so I have 19 notifications, and I have 2 DMs, one of which is a spam conversation, and the other one is from Elizabeth Warren. So not much has happened on Twitter, as should be the case when you don't go on Twitter. But even so, just looking at this, I find myself like just scrolling and not caring about what any of this is. So I guess that's a good thing. I'll keep you posted. So now let's check out Instagram. This one I know the password for because it got hacked recently. This is also very weird. Something that I used to do all the time is just like go through and just like every single picture that I saw, and I don't have the urge to do that anymore, which might sound kind of like whatever, but it's like kind of a big deal for me. I don't know, I don't feel the pull to be present on here. So I guess that's good, right? So all in all, just right off the bat, I find myself being more excited and sucked in by Instagram than I was Twitter, which kind of makes sense. Instagram is always something that I felt more invested in, and Twitter was something that always just served as more of like a mindless distraction whenever I needed one. So no real surprises there. So that's my experience going back on the apps for the first time in a month, which is really weird to say. Yeah, okay, so now it's time for final thoughts.
Damn, boy. Get some sleep. So about 2 hours after I filmed that segment on February 6th, I ended up deleting the apps for roughly another week or so. I was actually just generally not super comfortable on them anymore. I found myself getting sucked in, and I just found that I generally preferred not to be on them. But then over time, I weaned myself back onto the apps, and I found that I could use them comfortably and in a more balanced way, and I'm still using them far less than I was. So as of right now, on the evening of February 17th, I have all of the apps back on my phone, and I have all of the websites unblocked from my computer. However, I have turned off notifications for the apps on my phone, so I'm the one who's in control of when I go on the apps and when I don't. And that's something that I've found helps drastically when it comes to balancing my time on the apps. As for my non-social media endeavors, all of them have sadly since fallen flat. I stopped going to the gym when Chicago got hit with a bad cold front. I stopped calorie counting when I stopped going to the gym, and I stopped meditating kind of inexplicably. Maybe I was just quitting things. But that is something that I'm planning on starting up again soon, because I genuinely do think it helped me with just being more present and focusing in general, just in life. So all in all, I think that this was a really good experience. Getting to live day-to-day life in a way that I wasn't used to was really exciting, and it taught me a lot about myself and my own habits in the process. Needing to turn everything into a project, trying to overload good habits to counter out one or two bad habits, and struggling to find balance are all things that I've learned that I wrestle with over this process and have worked to overcome. So you may be asking, do I think that social media is poison and that you should all delete all of your apps immediately and never go on them again? No. Do I think that too much of anything is harmful and social media detoxes can be helpful? Yes. And honestly, I don't think this is the last one that I'm gonna do. So what do you think? What is your opinion on social media usage, either on a grand scale or in terms of your own personal use? If you're a frequent user, would you ever consider taking a month off? Let me know, or let me know any additional thoughts you had about this challenge or my process or anything related to it. Go ahead and leave those in the comment section down below. I would absolutely love to hear from you. All right, well, that is all I have for you today. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you have not done so already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every single time I upload a new video, because it is not often. So you want to get those notifications on. All of those things are completely free to do, and they all help me very much. All right, I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.